Hey, we're 4 weeks in at this point.
Oh, we got movement. We got movement in the ranking.
You see these? I trust these eyes. These eyes will not fail me when making these rankings. Everyone's favorite exercise, power rankings.
We doing everything they talk about. You know I'm everything a boss about. Not putting work and gotta toss them.
What's going on, everyone? Man, Sunday delivered another banger. That's 2 weeks back to back. We've had some great games on Sunday. And now we're here. It's Tuesday. And you know what this means. It's Power Rankings 5.0. I'm doing something a little bit different. I feel like there's a big enough sample size to compare, mix, match, go over common opponents that I can really dissect who should be ranked where. All right. So without further ado, I'm not going to take too much more of your time, but let's dive right into it. But of course, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Join the locker room. This is an interactive podcast. We hop in the chat and the comments below. We talk things out. And always let me know what you guys think. Share with a friend. Share the episodes. I appreciate your support. All right, enough of all that. Let's go. Looking at the power rankings, looking at them now, the bottom four haven't changed. So I'm not even going to waste your time. We got Cologne. Seemed like they got a little bit into a rhythm versus Frankfurt. You know, they're still ranked at 16. And Throners didn't do anything to make me feel even they deserve the push, because I was really trying to push some of these bottom teams up, but I feel like they align right where they are. Helvetic had a bye week, and Berlin had a rough turnout versus Hamburg. That seemed like they got on track. All right, this is where the party begins. So I just gave you 16, 15, 14, 13. Coming in at number 12, Wrocław Panthers. Listen, hey, that was an embarrassment. Whenever you're coming off a bye at home, that's an embarrassing loss. Ask the Rhine Fire. They lost to the Vikings, but also lost to the Paris Musketeers. They're going through an identity crisis, but the Wrocław Panthers, that's disappointing. This is one of the OG teams, one of the original 8 teams, one of the teams that's been to the playoffs twice, one of the teams that always have talent and they know how to recruit. But something's going on in Poland that we don't know about. That was disappointing. Again, it's not who they lost to, but how they lost. Disappointing. They come in at number 12. 11, the Raiders. Listen, if you haven't already checked out my instant reaction for the Raiders-Vikings game, they got smacked by the Vikings in their Austrian derby. I don't even know, man. It's so hard and so disappointing when you have teams like the Raiders that do have a rich tradition, rich reputation and organization that is respected, and then you go out and lay egg against your rival like that. You're just nowhere near close to where your expectations are of trying to get a championship, trying to be some of the top tier teams. So unfortunately, the Raiders, they hop in this spot right here. Next, Prague. Prague gets a little bump. I'm not even gonna lie. They're itching closer and closer, and it's gonna be interesting to see how Prague matches up with some of these teams down the road, right? They gotta play the Panthers again. You know, they gave the Vikings a game. Hamburg, what does that game look like? Obviously, they got their Throners, right? Prague's going to get a couple wins, and we're going to see how, this pans out now and how we can really officially, judge them, because they've arrived. They've arrived. And, again, they didn't just squeak by the Panthers. They dominated. They were the better team, and they proved it. All right? Prague drops in at this spot. The next one, we have the Hamburg Sea Devils coming in. I believe this is number 9. This is number 9. Listen, this is going to sound crazy, right? This may sound a little crazy. Do not rule out Hamburg beating the Fire. I know it's going to sound crazy. I think the Fire are home again for a third straight week. I'm telling you now, do not rule out the Hamburg Sea Devils beating the Fire. And if that happens, it's going to get interesting. It's going to get interesting in Dusseldorf, but Hamburg, they put up a great performance. Tala Tagovailoa, Jesus Christ, I can't say his name. Had a great performance, a pair of touchdowns. Taylor Robinson, a 74-yard bomb. Defense looks like they got back on track. Nazir Streeter having a great season so far. Another interception. They're balling. Hamburg's balling. And, again, it's going to be an interesting game this week. That's all I'm going to say. All right, who we got? Coming in at number 8. Munich, they drop a spot. They got a little shell shocked by the first half and surge and then made a late comeback. It'll be interesting to see what round 2 looks like in Munich when the surge come play the Ravens. But hell of a game. This is what Granted, even though Munich, I think they only beat the Surge one time, but they always keep it close, something the Raiders can't do with the Vikings. They always keep it competitive, something the Raiders have not done with the Vikings, right? Tabor, young, showing a lot of upside. Munich knew what they were doing when they signed him to a 3-year deal, right? Munich is going to be here for a while. They're going to find a way. They found a way late in this game. Fortunately, they couldn't pull it off for the full time. Munich comes in and they're 8. Madrid, next on the board, they bump up a spot. They beat the Anthroners. Listen, their offense, it is what it is. We'll see how this team continues to develop. But Madrid is playing good ball right now, and the offense is looking dangerous. I got to say that. The offense is looking dangerous, and, we'll see how everything, comes around. They still got to play Hamburg again, right? Obviously, they just beat the Anthroners. You got the Raiders this week. You're starting to get a little bit in-season matchups now because you have to play the Ravens. We're going to get a true test of who Madrid is this week versus the Raiders. And I know that sounds crazy based off everything I've been saying about the Raiders, this last game with the Raiders, but matchups make fights. So I'm going to say matchups make fights. Now, didn't know where I wanted to put this team, but I felt like based on what I'm seeing and my eyes are watching, Fire come in next. Biggest drop I've had from a team thus far this season. You lose 2 at home. You lose your home opener. You came off a bye. You still have yet to found an offensive identity. What are the Fire? What do they want to be? Right? You need to pick an identity and go with it. Defensively, probably their worst defensive performance of the year so far. We'll see how they bounce back. They got Hamburg, and this is a trap game. I'm going to be honest because this is not going to be an easy game in my opinion. I think Hamburg could squeak it out. Call me crazy, but you know who else called me crazy? They call me crazy when I pick Paris over Surge. They call me crazy when I pick Frankfurt over Paris. They call me crazy when I pick Paris over Fire. Watch out for this game. I'm trying to tell you, watch out for this game. Next, this may drop your jaw a little bit, but I got Frankfurt coming in, a frustrating team. And granted, I'm saying that off of a win against the Cologne Centurions, but Frankfurt is going to be a frustrating team because they have all the tools to be dominant, but they keep getting some lackluster performances. All right. And I'm not just talking about this Cologne game. I'm talking about they play up and down to their opponent. It feels like, we're gonna see what this Frankfurt team is about coming down the stretch. They got Paris coming up soon, but first they gotta get back. They gotta get past the Nordic Storm, and that's not going to be easy. That's not going to be easy, especially Storm team coming off a bye, a Storm team that is really their first test. We'll see how this pans out. Definitely got to be interesting. Big jump. Paris, maybe a top 3 team, right? Maybe a top 3 team. And get it. I understand you lost to Frankfurt, but that fourth quarter showed me something, right? This Rhein Fire game showed me something. Beating the Surge 6-0, that showed me something, right? Losing to the Fire by 2, granted it was week 1. This team is only getting better. And if you haven't noticed, you better pay close attention. This offense is gelling. This defense might be the best defense in the league. That's all I'm going to say. Defense might be the best defense in the league. They make adjustments. They're coachable. They're fast, physical, and they fly around. And yes, Jalen Henderson is settling in. He's becoming one. He's becoming the Jalen, maybe not the passing Jalen from Potsdam, but when plays need to be made, he's making plays, right? Watch out for Paris. They're a top 4 team, maybe a top 3 team. Who knows? But they have a bye, well-rested bye. They weathered the storm with that gauntlet of a schedule. It's going to start to get a little easier. Paris is going to be interesting. This West is interesting because you look at Frankfurt, you look at Paris, Storm coming at number 3. But the Surge are a top 2 team. But before I get to that, Storm at number 3. My eyes, I need to see it. You played 3 teams that are in the bottom quarter, of my rankings in Berlin, Helvetic, and God, who else did you guys beat? The Panthers, right? No fault of your own. You did what you're supposed to do. We're gonna see this week versus Galaxy, but the Storm stay put at number 3. Surge bump up though. Quality win versus who I think is the best team in the Central in Munich, even though they almost gave that game away. It was a close game, but the Surge come in. Surge are always going to make things a little interesting. And defense is playing well. Riley Hennessy showing that he's still got some juice in his legs, running out there, making plays. Kai Hunter, I mean, they got guys. They got the O-line. They got weapons. They got defense. Surge are number 2. Number 1, no surprise here, Vikings. Most talented team, arguably. All right. Put together a great stretch of games so far, despite obviously Prague, despite Anthoners. You look at the whooping they put on the Raiders, not taking their foot off the gas after coming off a huge win versus the Fire tells me something. Vikings are number 1. Vikings number 1. All right. So those are power rankings. Let me know what you guys think of them. Drop a comment. It's Tuesday. It's everyone's favorite exercise, and that's power rankings. Athletes Forum Podcast.